The Twinkie, the Philly cheesesteak, the classic New York slice, the majestic fried Oreo. Here in the US, we're pretty obsessed with food, so it makes sense that we're pretty obsessed with the people who make food too. Anthony Bourdain to Julia Child, from Carmi Berzatto to Remy the Rat. When it comes to whipping up recipes and flambéing kitchen drama, we're pretty much always down to say, yes, chef. In reality, being a chef is about so much more than thinking up new recipes, perfecting your crepe flipping wrist swish, and looking cute in a big hat, with or without a rat hiding underneath. It's about managing your team, thinking ahead, and keeping your cool in hot and stressful circumstances. Seriously, have you ever stood over a commercial stove? But if all that sounds just as good as a pan full of simmering onion smells, then this just might be the career for you. Hi, I'm Derek Kraus. I'm an executive chef. This is Study Hall, and here's how to become a chef. Chef isn't just a word for fancy cook. While there are many distinctions between chef and cook, one way to think about it is like the difference between reading a book and writing a book. While both require basic reading technique, reading is about following the instructions on the page to make words, sentences, chapters, and eventually a whole story, like a cook following a recipe. Writing a book, meanwhile, takes a lot more creative inspiration, as well as an even deeper understanding of story and language, since you're responsible for creating the perfect mix of nouns, verbs, and adjectives, much like a chef is tasked with creating the perfect balance of salt, herbs, and butter. So cooks are expert recipe readers and can blow your socks off with their professional creme brulee skills. And chefs have to have not only a grasp on basic technique, but also a deep understanding of ingredients and flavors to write new recipes, creme brulee or otherwise. And sometimes, chefs aren't even the ones doing the cooking in the first place. Executive chefs are like the conductors of the kitchen. While they often do some cooking themselves, they're also busy keeping an eye on how the kitchen is running, making sure everything is under control, and everyone's working together as smoothly as a perfectly blended lobster bisque. They also craft any rotating menus and fine-tune dishes that aren't quite perfect yet. As the head of the kitchen, executive chefs also have a lot of administrative and management duties. They're often the ones ordering and managing inventory, so no one runs out of onions, and checking quality on all the raw ingredients as well as the final plates headed to hungry eaters to make sure nobody ends up with a plate of subpar salmon. They're also usually involved in hiring the staff and putting them on the chopping block. And of course, executive chefs are responsible for training everyone else in the kitchen, making sure their crew has the expertise to chiffonade the basil and whip the cream. But executive chefs aren't the only chefs in the kitchen. They're supported by the sous chef, who is the executive chef's second in command. The olive oil to the executive chef's butter, if you will. Ready to fill in at a moment's notice in the case of a vegan customer. There are also chefs that specialize in particular kinds of food, like pastry chefs, sauce chefs, grill chefs, and more. Keep in mind that there are all sorts of different places to work as a chef too. It isn't all about fine dining. There are tons of different kinds of restaurants out there, plus lots of other non-restaurant chef jobs in places like hospitals, senior centers, prisons, schools, private residences, or catering companies. Wherever there are people, there's gonna be food. And wherever there's food, there's gonna be a chef. But no matter what kind of chef you are, you should probably strap in for some long shifts and weekend hours. And most chefs don't get into it for the high earning potential. Executive chefs make on average somewhere between $36,000 and $94,000 in the US, depending on the kind of restaurant they work in. Generally, the higher price a plate, the higher the salary for the chef. So an executive chef in fine dining will probably make more than one running a backyard barbecue joint, no matter how finger-licking good their ribs are. Other chef positions will pay similarly, A sous chef in the US makes an average of $62,000 a year, while a pastry chef makes about $68,000. But if you've got that passion inside, or that rat under your hat, one of the paths towards chefdom is culinary school. And while there are a lot of big opinions about culinary school, it is a good way for aspiring chefs to get the technical knowledge, practice, and guidance they need to make it in the restaurant world. Culinary school usually takes about 2 years to complete and sets out to refine your palate and technical know-how in the kitchen in a classroom setting, giving students the time, space, and attention to perfect their craft. And culinary school isn't just about honing your skills to textbook perfection. The connections you make at these schools can get you some pretty sweet apprenticeships at pretty impressive restaurants. Often, culinary school professors can set up a student with a special apprenticeship known as a stage, where they work briefly for free to get the benefits of real-life kitchen experience, which can then be parlayed into a paid job. Many stage apprenticeships are at high-end restaurants, so if fine dining is your goal, culinary school may be the way to go. But like the perfectly balanced marmalade has a complex blend of both sweet and sour, there are some downsides to culinary school. For one, even if you graduate top of your class at Le Cordon Bleu, you might not be able to get hired as a full-fledged chef right away. Instead, you might get a job as a cook in the kitchen, where you have many of the same daily tasks, but somewhat less responsibility and pay than you would as a chef. On top of that, culinary programs range widely in price, and going into debt for a formal education puts your finances in a pressure cooker, particularly because you're probably never going to end up making gravy boats of money as a chef. And that's a pretty important consideration because the other classic route to chefdom actually pays you. See, many people believe that the best route to becoming a chef is simply working in a kitchen. That way, you can absorb the tips, tricks, and techniques from the people around you, getting a better sense of actual kitchen life and get yourself paid while doing it. In fact, many kitchen staffs are full of people working their way up, and it's usually pretty easy to get an entry-level kitchen job with pretty much no experience. Whether you're washing dishes, bussing tables, or the host greeting folks in the front, a little panache and a willingness to put on those rubber gloves can easily get you started. From there, it's up to you to pay close attention to what's going on around you, learn the ropes quickly, make a good impression, and start to work your way up the ladder. And while everyone's journey is different, there's definitely some stuff you'll want to focus on. For example, you'll definitely want to keep your eyes on the chefs and cooks around you, particularly when they're discussing a new dish or different technique. But don't let that observation come at the cost of your job responsibilities, because another important thing for your journey up the kitchen ladder is being really ridiculously dependable. If you prove yourself to be a reliable coworker with a good attitude, someone who stays calm under pressure, your executive chef is way more likely to tap you to fill a position when one opens up, even temporarily. This could look like taking on some basic prep cook tasks when your coworker is out unexpectedly, or a big promotion into a line cook position. You should also definitely keep practicing your cooking at home for your lucky friends and family. Not only will it make their day to have a fresh, home-cooked, restaurant-quality meal, but it'll also help you hone your skills. Practice cooking the dishes on the menu, and if the executive chef mentions a new cooking technique you don't know, it's worth getting familiar with. That way, you'll end up with all the technical knowledge you'd otherwise learn at culinary school and be all set to hop in as pinch hitter. Or in this case, pinch sauce stirrer, burger flipper, or fish deboner. Because you're skipping culinary school, which puts a whole lot of emphasis on traditional technique, this learning at home stuff is crucial. You don't want to be stuck in a position where you're asked to skim the consommé and you have to frantically Google what a consommé is in the first place. Now, like I said, there's no one way that the journey from dishwasher to chef looks. Some folks take a decade or more slowly working their way up the kitchen ladder to chef. But some intermediate positions along the way include prep cook, where you're in charge of getting the kitchen ready so that all the key ingredients are set to go when service begins. And line cook, where you're tasked with making the actual menu items as the orders come in. And while it may take longer than a 2-year culinary school degree, tons of chefs agree that the real-life kitchen experience you get by working your way up can't be beat. So whether you're walking across the stage in a cap and gown, culinary school degree in hand, or have been practicing the perfect soufflés at home while chopping a lot of celery at work, the day will come when it's time to start applying to those chef jobs. In most cases, that's going to look like a combination of searching job listings and also keeping your ear to the ground and asking other hospitality workers if there are openings for chefs that they know about. By now, you'll probably have a whole network of food service folks in your address book, either from your culinary school connections or all those long, hot hours in the kitchen. And they're a great resource when it comes to the job hunt. Many restaurants require chefs to have a Serve Safe certification or some other food safety certification. These involve an hour-long instruction on food handling and safety, followed by a test. You can take these courses either in person or online, depending on your state. And since it isn't too hefty of a time commitment, unlike braising the perfect brisket, consider working on it while you apply to jobs. And there are a variety of other certifications as well that can add additional oomph to your resume too. The American Culinary Federation in the United States, for instance, allows you to use a combination of training and in-kitchen experience to gain different certifications like Certified Sous Chef or Certified Executive Chef, which can only help you in your job search. But if you're not totally sure if being a chef is for you just yet, there are plenty of ways to try it out. And none of them involve letting a French rat sit on your head. All those entry-level restaurant jobs like dishwashing, bussing tables, hosting, or serving can not only be a great way to begin your journey up the kitchen ladder, but to give you a better idea of if the chef life is for you in the first place. While the daily tasks and responsibilities are different, many of the soft skills like thinking on your feet, remembering a lot of details, keeping your cool under pressure, translate directly to working as a chef. And there's no better way to get a feel for the unique ecosystem that is a restaurant kitchen like spending up close and personal time there. You could also try cooking dinner for some friends, or even handling the food for larger events like a birthday party. While the safety and comfort of your own home kitchen is a far cry from the bustling chaos of the back of a restaurant, the look on diners' faces when you serve them up a warm, steaming plate will hit just the same. In the end, there are almost as many ways to become a chef as there are ingredients in a Oaxacan mole sauce. Becoming a chef can look like a lot of school and interning in various star-studded kitchens, working your way up at a hometown diner, or anything in between. While we here at Study Hall don't recommend enlisting a rat to control your movements in your quest to become a chef, most of the other ways into this career get you a pretty cool life. Plus, in addition to your take-home pay, this fast-paced, detail-oriented career gives you the added bonus of that look on people's faces when they are totally stunned by a flavor combo you perfected, which really hits the spot. If you want to learn more about undergrad major options, check out our Fast Guide series where we dive into popular college majors. And check out GoStudyHall.com for more resources. If you want to help us out, give this video a like, comment your favorite celebrity chef, and smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.